We are all HoloTable heroes in our own HoloTable narratives. I am Mr. McClunky, SWGoH's #1 Vance fan, and today I am joined by the time trial ghosts of videos past. I am reacting to Egnards, who is reacting to Scrybe, who is reacting to Nooch. This is all starting to feel like Tom Lair's song I Got It From Agnes, or in this case, I Got It From Egnards. Without further ado, should we let them cook? I say unto you, in the words of my uncle, à l'aise cuisine.
First one is going to be our GAC leagues, and we're talking about putting in a beginner league called Chitin, and similar to what Nooch is kind of talking about, this would be a league
So, Chitin seems like it would be the super Weenie Hut Juniors of GAC, like from SpongeBob.
that you can't go back into. It is a league that has the same rewards as Carbonite. It is only a single division, though I guess it could be further divisions. It could be 5 divisions that you completely walk out of. It doesn't really matter. You can't re-enter it once you've left. It would have the same rewards as
Okay, I'm following so far, but I'm not 100% sold on this yet.
Carbonite, but once you've done well enough in the GAC rankings to step out of Chitin, you would not be allowed to go back into it. There is obviously the issue of somebody who maybe is 1 million GP, they're in Chitin, and they specifically lose to stay there. But we're not talking about many wins. We're not talking about a large scale thing over 6 months. We are talking about just being able to get players' feet wet in GAC. So they have nice matchups, interesting matchups before they go into the real game and get beaten down by more veteran players. And I think that what this does is it allows players, once they see the thing that I know it's not my favorite game mode, but the thing that most players really enjoy, they get a chance to enjoy that and understand what it's like. A big problem is that players on their first GAC may be paired up in this 1 million versus 9 million matchup. And if that is their first impression, they are going to have a lot of problems with retention and playing the game. And that is not conducive to myself as someone who creates content for the game. It is not conducive to the company who wants to produce revenue for the game. And it's not conducive to the players who want to continue playing the game. Now, the second
Okay, so as I've said in previous Fireside Chats, suffering is a key part of this game's monetization model, and I don't think Eggs fully understands that yet. And besides, I struggle to remember all of these ranks as is. So if anything, I don't think we should be adding more onto this. If anything, I reckon we ought to do like a squish, like how CG implemented a while back the Kyber squish, and it kind of solved all of our problems. At the top end of the game, I reckon we probably need a squish down here in Carbonite, squish all the big boys out into like Chromium and Bronzium. Um, I think just replicating wholesale the benefits of the Kyber squish. I think a Carbonite squish would be better than adding chitin.
thing we're going to talk about, which is what Scrybe is talking about, is our activity score, right? And this is kind of what he's saying here.
Okay, activity score. What the heck's this? Okay, sounds like we're trying to turn SWGoH from like Halo 3 2007 into Team Fortress 2 2007. See where he's going with this.
Which is essentially a system where you have to meet specific criteria in order to get an activity point in a GAC match. And these activity points,
Oh, never mind. Nope. This is actually starting to sound more like bonus stars from Mario Party 8 2007.
know that they're visible on my screen over here, but they would not be visible to the average player. You would not know how many activity points that you have earned. And the build around those activity points would just be about being active in GAC. So it wouldn't be about winning. It wouldn't be about how good your roster is. It would be about your participation. So if you won a match, you would earn, well, let's backtrack. You would only be able to earn a single activity point per battle. But if you won the match, you'd obviously
Yeah, these are Mario Party bonus stars.
one. If you did a certain number of attacks, it didn't have to be wins, just 3 or 4 attacks, you'd obviously win an activity point. If you earned a score that was like a percentage, so like 25% of the highest you could earn, you would earn your activity point. It would not be hard to earn an activity point. It would actually be harder to not earn one because you'd really have to do nothing. If you did not earn an activity point, instead you would lose an activity point. And you'd start at, let's say 5, everybody starts at 5, you could go up to 10, you could go down to 0. And match
Egnards, you start these videos way too early, man. I don't have my coffee in me yet, and you're already making me react.
making would fundamentally try to pair you up with players at the same activity point level or within 1 activity point of you. So that means that players that do not play often, who maybe have 1 or 2 activity points, they are going to be paired up with other players that have 1 or 2 activity points. And those players are more likely to have the same or similar GPs because those are the players that are consistently dropping and getting lower and lower. Right, as you get to the higher end, so having 9 activity points, 10 activity points, or even 5 in the beginning, as everybody starts at 5, everybody would be on the same page. You would have active players, and you would be more likely to get not favorable matchups, but matchups that are interesting because the system is de-incentivizing dropping out. And the final thing that I'm going to talk about when it comes to matchmaking is what I call reductive gates. Okay, and reductive gates basically mean that as you get further in the game, there would be more or less differential in the GP allowed for matches, or at least because there's always going to be a few matchups in order to make sure everybody gets a matchup, but they would not be as bad. So if you're in Carbonite, you and your opponent have to be within 10% GP of each other, right? A 1 million account is only going to get paired up with somebody who is at between 1 million and 1,100,000 GP. Now, as Scrybe does point out in the video, you might have tighter rosters and it might be a harder match, but at least on the surface, it will look better for that player and they won't feel as jilted when they get their ass completely kicked. But as you move through the ranks, those differentials would increase. So at Chromium, it would be 15%. By Erodium, we would be talking about 40% differentials. Now, keep in mind, we're not saying you would definitely be at a 40% differential, but that would be the maximum that you could possibly have. So a 4 million account would be able to go up against for a 12, 16, a 5.6 million account all the way through Erodium. Now, once you get to Kyber, there would be no gate. There'd be no GP differential at all. This is where the big boys and girls play. This is where you have to earn those slots to get in there 100% of the time. If you manage to get to Kyber 5 at 6 million GP and there is a 10 million GP Kyber player, you're going to get matched with them, right? This is where people get knocked up, knocked down, knocked up.
Wait, hold up. People get what? Mpreg in my SWGoH? Never mind, I'm down. No notes, carry on.
This is where people get knocked in or out of the league as much as possible. I think that these three things specifically would go a long way towards building a matchmaking system, right? Because the reductive gates would also work with activity score and also work within that chitin league where only a certain number and certain types of players are able to play. And it would build better matchups. And it wouldn't change anything for CG in terms of monetization, right? Because you're gonna have the same number of winners and the same number of losers, and the people who don't want to play are still not going to play. But you are going to see a better retention from players because the players that do want to play are going to get frustrated much less often. So those are my solutions here to this problem that these guys are talking about. Let's see if we can get to the solution in the video.
Mom always said the biggest problem in the universe is that nobody helps each other.
One championship where they turn up and they attack in every round. They're like, okay, we're going to move you back from the delinquent Kyber 5. You're going to go to Kyber 5. You're back in the main rotation of players. Go have your fun. And if they drop back down again, they get locked back into the delinquent league. It just keeps them out of the way of the people that actually want to play GAC. All right? Don't know if that's the solution, but that's one thing I was recommending.
This feedback has been passed along.
CG are actually pretty good at this sort of thing, right? You know, Meathead has been fantastic. He really is. He's a good community manager. He'll come out to us, he'll ask us for feedback, and he'll take it on board. And he'll often come back with questions. So
I can confirm this. Definitely, I know that CG and Meathead get a lot of flack in the different community spaces like Reddit and Discord. They don't listen. My opinion here is,
yeah, a lot of people give Meathead some guff, but he did respond to the faxes that I sent in. I said Greedo should probably be doing some kind of weird dance and sink into the floor, like maybe like a teabag or like a little dance. Meathead took it to heart. He ran it by the devs, and they implemented it in the last update patch. So never say CG doesn't listen. I mean, they might not respond to you in the forums or over Discord, but if you send them a fax, they'll take it into account.
that, and there are a lot of big problems in the game, is that a lot of people don't know how to structure their problem in a productive way. They don't know how to be solution oriented in how they're going to present a problem. So when random players message Meathead or talk to Meathead on Discord and they say things in a nasty way, like, oh, when is CG going to stop effing me over with blah, 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 he's obviously going to ignore it because it doesn't really help the cause. I've had my conversations with Meathead in the past. I've given him feedback for things in the past. He has, asked me questions about the things that I have built in the past. I have definitely seen things that I have said, through videos and through Reddit start to weave their way into the game. And I don't think it's because I am some super awesome person. I am, but that's not why. I think it's just because that a lot of what I say is a more or less differential in the GP allowed score. And I'm going to kind of end this here with all of this other stuff to
in this bracket. And I've faced off against this guy over here, Buckets.
that is helpful. And I wanted to take a second to talk about that here just because it does get frustrating when I watch people.
So hopefully they are thinking about Grand Arena. Hopefully they are prioritizing it. Hopefully they're also looking at like Territory War, which really, really needs to be burned to the ground and redone.
I agree.
That is actually true. I also agree. Please see my video about Vance's suggestions of integrating tennis into Territory War.
Please, get rid of it.
And hopefully we'll get a new capital fleet soon, because I'd be sick. But
Right,
they need
jump
to
ahead
have
a little
more
bit.
capacity.
I'm not a coder. I know I'm not a coder.
No, me neither, brother.
Me neither.
Me neither.
I
Jinx.
don't need a complete rework of Grand Arena. I just need galactic power tiers.
I don't think galactic power tiers is the solution. I don't think because how can we arbitrarily say that? Look, we'll go. If I'm to go into, let's do this. Okay, so this is my free-to-play account, right? This is the current bracket that I'm in right now on my free-to-play account. I'm currently 2-0 in this bracket, and I've faced off against this guy over here, Buckets off club. I think I faced him in the last round. We had pretty much the same GP range, and I won because he didn't have an answer to the executor, right? I'm trying to think. This is this Balenai guy. This is the guy I faced in round 1. 4 million GP, and I beat him as well. Right? So how are we going to decide what those brackets are? Because one 4 million GP account. If I'm a 1.9 million GP account, right, and I can beat this 4 million GP account. If I had 4 million, could I beat the 7 million GP account? Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't do it just on GP because GP can be vastly different at the lower levels.
So I agree, and I don't agree here. We talked about the reason why we're talking about reductive GP gates, at least in part of my solution. I think that a lot of what it comes down to is perception as a player.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think the real problem with this is just GP in general is such a broad description of a roster. I think we should probably get to kind of the things that matter a little bit more. I reckon we could probably do away with GP-based matchmaking and just match folks based on the potency of their Coruscant Underworld police.
Scrybe is a content creator, and he has 1.9 million going against a 4 million.
I mean, like, you could mod for whatever tier you feel ready for. Like, you want to go for some heavier matchups, just mod high potency. You want to kind of dial back things and do like more of a casual approach. You could just Take your mods off, of course, on Underworld Police. I think it'd be fine.
And so we're looking at a 2 million or 100% differential there. He is someone who has a Kyber 1 account. He doesn't necessarily care whether he wins or loses. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean this is an alt. This is like his throwaway. This is a character that produces content. He knows how the game works. So if he loses against that 4 million account or that 10 million account, it is what it is. You know, you can make a 30-minute video, a 45-minute JC video, and have a lot of fun with it, whether you're going to win or lose. When we talk about the average player that is not a content creator, they're on their first account, they have 2 million, they maybe don't necessarily know what they're doing. Their roster is not going to be very tight. They don't know all of the team comps. There's going to be a big perception problem. And I think that at the lower end, you want players to perceive like they have a chance. So when you see a 2 million versus a 4 million, if you're very new to the game and this is like your first 6 months or your first JC or it's your first year in the game, that can be a demoralizing match for you as a player. And you might decide to play it and win and you feel really great, but you're more likely to say, you know, screw it, I have no chance. I'm not even going to try. And that might be something that walks you away from the game. Whereas if you're playing against somebody that has exactly the same GP, 2 million GP, but they have a much tighter roster than you and they just completely destroy you, as a player, you may feel frustrated by the loss, but you're going to be less inclined to be frustrated by the matchup. And I do think that that is a hugely, hugely important thing for the average player to keep in mind. You know, myself as a content creator, I don't have alts. I don't want to play alts. They're not interesting for me to play alts. I don't have the time. Who has the time?
Yeah, alts suck. I'm gonna be real with you. I tried it for a little while and then had a conquest come around on my main account, and I dropped McClunky Jr. so fast. It was crazy.
Time to play alts? Like these guys with 3, 4, 5. I know people with like 6 accounts. They do GAC on 4 accounts. They do conquest on 3. How do you live like and do stuff? But those players that are doing that, they kind of understand how things go, and it's not a big problem for them. You know, for guys where it's your only account and you don't have the backing in the game to understand what's going on, it's going to be a much bigger problem.
Between two different accounts, right?
See,
This is a million GP account, and it's got like a little bit more nuanced than just GP.
I agree, it's more nuanced, which is why mine is a 3-tier solution to matchmaking.
Because it will take those
Yes.
players out of rotation, right? If they go
Okay, so like Scrimby has a solution, Daddy has one, and Eggs has like 3 apparently. I should probably think of something too. That way I've got something to end this video on.
want to play,
It needs to be called
that's
Titan.
different. If
Call
they
it
just the
Titan.
game really terrible and can't win a GAC, like that's different.
Oh, the delinquent, never mind. Titan is what Nooch was talking about, right? And that's a Star Wars Galaxies reference. But right now, Scribble is talking about the activity score. And I'm going to kind of end this here with all of this other stuff to go over here just for the sake of posterity. But the reality is, you know, Nooch has his solution, Scribble has his solution, and everybody's thinking about this as a 1-tier solution issue. And there's,
Yeah, I know. I need to think of something real quick too. Give me a second.
as you saw, I have 3 different solutions, and one of them is Nooch's, and one of them is Scribble's, and then one of them is completely different from the 2 of them. And there's no reason why it needs to be a 1-point solution to the problem when you can have multiple new systems interacting together in order to build a fundamentally better solution for the problem. Now, none of these solutions to the problem will ever affect me. I'm a Kyber 2 player, sometimes a Kyber 1 player, but if I'm being
Okay, I thought of something. So I mean, I guess it should make something up too. So I was kind of digging the cup potency based matchmaking here. So like if we did keep the current format, let me pull up my other video here. We could probably do something like this. Like, I mean, we could make S Kyber, we could make A Erodium, we could make B Bronzium, we could make C Chromium, we could make D Carbonite, and I guess F could be Chitin. So I guess that's an option.
honest, I'm a Kyber 2 player. I will never see a world where any of this matters to me. But as someone who wants to see the game succeed, I want to see players want to play the game, and I want to see players enjoying GAC, even if it's not my favorite game mode. And I want to see players. It's hard to say happy because every player has their own definition of happy. And like we were talking about feedback with Meathead, a lot of players will say, I'll be happy if they give me every character for $3. It's not realistic. It's not interesting. But within the confines of what is a realistic solution to fix things in the game, I do want players to be happy. It does make me happy when players are enjoying their gameplay. And that's why
No, I strong disagree there. I mean, as previously mentioned, I think a big part of this game is kind of being unhappy. I think in general, a large part of being a fan of the Star Wars franchise is being unhappy.
I do think we need a more complicated solution than just one thing or the other thing. Now, I will also say that, as I mentioned earlier in this video, that my solution plan for GAC is not just based on the early game, right? So my first idea, which was the matchmaking, had 3 points to it, but the entire video.
Okay, so earlier when I said two, I said TWO and not TOO. So here's my secret second solution. We get rid of all the zones and like the big elaborate matchups and matchmaking, like all that BS. I'm thinking we probably separate out fleets and squads into 2 different modes. I think it was kind of confusing that GAC combined the 2 of them. Um, I mean, honestly, we could probably just do like 1 to 5 battles a day for each, and we could just match up with people who started playing roughly around the same time we did. Um, oh, and like a set time of day, we could get our rewards based on like how far we climbed on some kind of like leaderboard. Um, and obviously, we could get more rewards the higher we climb. I think doing it like on a daily basis rather than like these silly ranked seasons makes a lot more sense to me. So, um, I think that might be my better solution there.
Itself has 3 major points with multiple bullet points in each one. So if you are a player who is interested in fixing JC, if you are a player that's interested in seeing those ideas, I will put a link to that in the comments of this video, in the description, for you to watch. It's about really as long as this video is, if not shorter, because I end up talking a lot faster. But it is an interesting watch in order to get a full point of what I feel is going on here. Now, we're not going to jump back to the rest of the video because it's talking about the same solution points. And I wanted to, make sure that I guess we were all on the same page here. Actually, there's one piece of this video that I want to point out because it is my favorite part of this video. So let's come on back for just one quick second. Let's see if I can find it here. Here it is.
It's 4 million. And when you get to chromium, it's 5 million. And when you get to beryllium, it's 6
Hope you're doing well,
million.
Nooch. Thanks for all you do and bringing great content regularly to us.
Thank you, DW. You are a gentleman and a scholar. But look.
The reason that I like that, and I had messaged Nooch yesterday about this because I thought it was really funny, was that he starts going on this really big rant and then just kind of like drops it back down. And I just got a little giggle out of that. And so was that necessary from my perspective to show it? No, but I found it funny. I hope that you found it funny. I am interested. Here's the reality. The 3 of us here talking about this problem. It's because we care, right? We want to see the game succeed. We want to.
Eggs. There's 4 of us. I will be with you. Always.
See the game on its best foot. So whether you're commenting here on Scribble's video, on Nooch's video, whichever it is, we're all here. We maybe have different solutions to the problem. There's no reason that those solutions can't work together, but it is a problem that all of us care about. I hope that you found this helpful. Peace out. Have a great rest of your day.
I'm just going to slow this down so that I don't have to edit my own end cards in.